Hey, this is Danielle from Black Business Boom. Welcome to Beyond the Boom with Danielle McGee. Today we're going to be talking to Jessica Doakes, one of our Boomin University graduates, about her business, the Black Candle Company. I am super excited. I've been watching Jessica for years now, so really excited to have had her in our programs and just to see her growth. Welcome, Jessica. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It is a pleasure to have you today. And again, we're just going to be laid back. We're going to be talking about your business, talking about your experience with Black Business Boom and Boomin University, and talking about what's next for your company. So to kick it off, just tell us a little bit about your business.
Sure. So we're the Black Candle Company. I'm the owner, curator, CEO of the Black Candle Company. We're luxury home fragrances, and we specialize in affordable luxury. So we offer a collection of simple, minimal, modern, label-less candles, room sprays, reed diffusers, wax melts, and etc. So 9 different products and then 9 different captivating scents that each tell their own story. We have a collection of our original products, and then we also have a luxe collection. So like I said, the original collection's priced between $5 and $32, and then our luxe collection's priced between $20 and $75. So we try to offer something for everyone.
I love it. And that was a nice little elevator pitch there.
Thank you.
It was really great. I love it. Now, what inspired you to start the company?
So to be honest, if you would have asked me a few years ago, Jessica, do you love candles? Would you own a candle company? I would have looked at you like you were crazy because I never would have imagined. It was 2021. I was having a really bad year. I went through my 3rd miscarriage, had a really bad depression. As I was coming out of the depression, decided to play basketball and then ruptured my Achilles. So I was stuck in the house and, had nothing but time. Remembered I had a candle kit that I bought off Amazon 3 years prior. Started playing with the candle kit and literally fell in love with the process. So for me, I always say it's the irony of the Black Candle Company bringing me out of a dark time. So it's been my therapy, and the Black Candle Company is my way of sharing that therapy with people. So
that is amazing. I hate to hear about the hard times you went through, but it is great that something beautiful was born out of that time period in your life. And that happens for a lot of us. Many times we're just looking for a solution for a problem, or we're looking for something to keep us busy, and it turns into something big. Right. Now, I have smelled your fragrance. They are amazing.
Thank you.
They seriously, they smell luxurious for real.
Thank you.
So what does that process look like of you figuring out the different fragrances? How does that come together?
So initially, when I was, making the candles in my kitchen, kitchen chemist, I decided I was going to make my own fragrances. But as I was trying to make them, I just couldn't capture what I had envisioned in my head, because I knew I wanted something to be, I wanted the scents to be luxury. I wanted to, it to be just, top tier complex scents. And I just couldn't formulate them myself. So I decided to just order some different scent kits from different manufacturers. And as I was going through the scents, I really just picked the scents based off of my own personal preference and what I felt like was a good complex scent that just smelled amazing. If it spoke to the brand, I felt like it needed to be a part of the collection. For example, my scent, the Black Man, when I smelled it, I just was like, ooh, this smells like a man that stepped out of the shower. So I was like, this kind of speaks to what I'm trying to represent in the brand. So that's literally it. I just went with my gut in picking the scents.
I love it. Now, you said a lot about the brand, and I'm going to tell you, I love your actual brand and branding. And it was probably about 2 years ago that T. Wilson, our CMO, she came across, I think, an ad, or she came across something, and she sent it to me and was like, this branding is amazing. And it takes a lot to blow T away when it comes to branding. Like, she is very, very, very particular and very, very picky. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a guru. It's what she's been doing for over 20 years. So for your brand to really stand out and speak to her, mm-hmm. and really it looks the part, you know, of luxury. It gives luxury. So how did you go about developing a strong brand?
So really, I I always say I have this healthy obsession with the color black. So, starting and picking the color, I just, like if you go in my living room, it's black, it's white, it's cream, like it's gray. It's just very monochromatic. And I just love that color. I feel like black is timeless, it's elegant, and it goes with just about anything. So like I said, I initially picked that color, and the branding, I don't know if it's my designer background, because I had an interior design company.
Okay, well, that makes sense. It's starting to make some sense now.
Yeah, so I had an interior design company that I had started in 2016. So, and I had been, even prior to that, when I was little, I used to go over to my friend's house and rearrange furniture. In my mind, I knew I was an interior designer. So I feel like a lot of that had a huge role in coming up with the branding and even picking my fonts and the colors and, what colors go well together. And I think it just really came from my interior design background, I guess.
I think that it also came from your intentionality. I think that you were intentional about the things that you just said, picking the font, picking things that go together and create an aesthetic that is attractive. And that's something that everybody is not intentional about, and not intentional about being involved in that process. Because the thing is, you don't have to be a graphic design guru or interior decorator to have an eye for what looks good. You don't have to, and it doesn't necessarily take a whole lot of money, for you to create a brand that is memorable for folks. I'll tell you, when I started Black Business Boom, I went right over to Canva and was like, I like this little symbol. I'm going to use that little symbol, and I'm going to add some words, and we're going to make this a logo. And it was not I have no background in graphic. If you look at some of my old graphic designs from my old businesses, a mess. But, I learned and I was just intentional as I learned about the importance of the brand. I put more into establishing a strong one. Now, I heard you mention you had a business before. Has entrepreneurship just always been in your blood?
So even when I started that interior design company, it was just more so having the passion to do the work. When I actually started that company, I really wasn't thinking about, I'm an entrepreneur now. It never really occurred to me. I was just doing something I really enjoyed doing. But as, you're growing in the business, you're like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm an entrepreneur now. I have to, formulate my business in a sense, set it up as an entity, doing all these things on the back end that you really don't think about. And it was kind of like that too, even though I had the interior design company and I had a little knowledge about, setting up a business. I felt like even with this company, I was kind of starting from the ground up, just working my way up, figuring things out as I go. Because once again, I got into this business because of the passion, that I had for making the candles. But everything else that came along with that was just me just kind of figuring things out as I went along. So,
So now you're a Corner to Corner grad.
Yes.
Correct. And so I think your story is similar to mine, that you had a business and you still at some point decided, I don't know all the things that I should know about running a business, and I'm going to go through this class and I'm going to learn these things. So tell us about that decision to take a step back, kind of, because some of us are like, I know what I'm doing. I've been, I've been in business before. But to really be like, what, I don't know everything, and maybe I should go through this program and learn how to really run a real business. Tell us about that decision.
So I actually got into Corner to Corner. A friend of mine, Alicia Davis, her business is Happy Heart Smiles, and she was doing the pitch competition. And so she invited me to come out that night. I watched her give her pitch, and just the energy in the room, seeing all these different entrepreneurs, and everybody was just, it was a great environment. So I was like talking to her, and she told me about the program, and I told her, I was like, I think I want to get involved. I feel like I know a little bit and I've already started my business, but there's I feel like there's a lot of things I've not touched. So that's how I got into Corner to Corner. That's how I was introduced to Corner to Corner. And as I was going through the program, I just felt like there were certain classes I felt like, oh, I have this, in my bag. I know what I'm doing in this regard. But there were a lot of pieces that I knew nothing about, from the finances to law, all of those things. I definitely learned a lot while I was in Corner to Corner. So I really enjoyed it.
It is an amazing organization. And as a graduate myself, as a former facilitator, and now we partner with them with Boomin University to offer alumni programming. So that is how we ended up reaching out to you to get into the Boomin to the Bank program. And so excited to have you here to talk to us a little bit about you being one of our first loan recipients. So I had this vision last year to start offering loans for small business owners, and it hit me, why not partner with Kiva to be able to do that? And so we became a Kiva referral hub, and you've now gone through the Kiva process and gotten a loan through the Kiva organization. So tell us a little bit about that process.
So the process itself, well, first of all, when I got the email, I was super excited because, as a small business owner, sometimes access to capital is a huge, it's something that we kind of lack, And so having the opportunity to go through this, I was just over the moon. I was just so excited. But the process itself, I felt like it was really easy. I felt like the application process was just really self-explanatory. I didn't feel like there was anything that was, extremely challenging or anything of that nature. So I felt like the process was easy. Even afterwards being approved and moving forward, I was still, over the moon, super excited. And doing the, where we had to share it on social media and share with our friends and family, I felt like that process was really easy. At first I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. I didn't know if I should be embarrassed, how people were going to look at me for asking for the money. But then I was like, no, this is your business. You have to do what you have to do in order for your business to succeed. You can't be too wrapped up in all these different thoughts. You tell yourself stories, but
we do.
And people may not even think that, but nonetheless, I did it, and I'm super proud. I had several family members reach out because they didn't even know what Kiva was. So it was an educational moment because I shared with them exactly what the platform was all about, and it was overall it was just an amazing process.
And you fundraised all of your money pretty quickly. Like we had set aside funding for this first group of people to say, like, if they don't hit their goals, we're going to step in and make sure that they hit their goals, right? And we have corporate partners and banking partners that have put money into this pool to make sure that we were able to do that. And we didn't even have to. I was like, oh, they out there killing it. Not only your network, but the Kiva network of strangers, complete strangers that lent to you. And I think a lot of people, there are a lot of folks that get wrapped up in their own mind of like, oh, I'm going to have to share this with my family and friends. What are they going to think? Will they give me money, right? And it's a loan. It's $25 is all we're asking, right? Like,
right.
You should know 10 people who are willing to give you $25, and there may be a bigger issue there if you don't. But, that is, social capital can be rough and for minority business owners. But, typically we know 10 people who would say, I will let you borrow $25. Right. But then to have this network that Kiva has built of like thousands of supporters that go and lend money to complete strangers is amazing. And we were blown away because, again, we were like, well, this money will stretch further than what we thought it was. We were thinking, okay, we're going to blow through this with the first 15 people we lend to, and it now we'll be able to continue to lend that to even more people. So tell us a little bit about, I was going somewhere with that. First of all, we get wrapped up in our own minds. I've gone through the Kiva process myself, and I had some of those same worries. What will people think? Will they think I'm broke? If I'm trying to, but it's like, even if I have money, there's nothing wrong with borrowing money, especially at 0% interest to invest in my business. Then I think we get concerned about, well, I'm not going to hit my goal. Once we get up the courage to actually move forward, then we get scared. well, what's going to happen, because it's an all or nothing situation. Right. So if you set 5,000 and you don't hit 5,000, you get nothing. Right. And so that is why we were intentional about setting money aside to make sure if you go through Boomin University, we believe in you and we're going to make sure that you get the money that you need. So now that you have gotten the funding for your business, tell us what your plans are for the Black Candle Company.
So I actually, in doing the loan, I wanted the money for inventory. I felt like it was just imperative that I just stock up on inventory and have plenty because I'm doing vendor events, and then my online sales have kind of increased quite a bit. So after getting the loan and then really kind of divvying up the money and ordering all my supplies and stacking my inventory, maybe 2 weeks after that, I had an influencer share my brand and my website went crazy.
Right. Great.
Yes. And so I was just thinking it's crazy how, the stars aligned and I was able to get that loan. And then a couple weeks later, I have plenty of inventory to fulfill all of those orders. Had I not had that, I don't know where I'd be. Probably still packing orders.
That is fantastic. Yeah. I mean, many times we do just need money to go out and get the product, and that has been a big hurdle for a lot of the business owners that we talk to is that, they're getting orders. And I mean, cash flow can be tight, many times for small business owners. That is exciting. That makes me happy to hear that. So what's coming up? What's the future for the company?
Yes. So, of course, we've got some far out goals that we're trying to reach, but at least, to the end of the year.
Why not? You set them high, aim high.
Right, exactly. But at least to the end of the year, we're trying to kind of flip our online sales. I've been doing a lot of vendor events. Last year, pretty much every single weekend, I was out, in the streets doing vendor events. But my goal is this year to kind of take a step back from vendor events and boost my online sales. So thus far, we've been doing really well. This is the best we've done as far as online sales. So that's one goal. Here in the near future, we do have a brick and mortar right now. We're inside of the Create Hub. Oh, right. Love it there. But eventually I do want to have my own standalone building and have a retail space and then also have a candle making studio so people can come in Monday through Sunday, make their own candles kind of in a luxe environment that's, specifically curated for this, type of atmosphere. So that's another goal of mine. And then the other goal is to eventually get into a major retailer, i.e. a Crate and Barrel, a Target, West Elm, something of that sort. So that may be next year or year after that, a couple years, but that's definitely one of our goals.
That is very, very exciting. Now, I'm not going to turn this into a coaching call, but I am doing the vendor events, I think is really can be a key to you actually increasing your online sales. And that's one thing I've been talking to a lot of small businesses about because many times, social media, we're fighting against these algorithms and all these things. When you're doing the vendor events, you have real tangible people in front of you. But the key is actually getting their data while they're there at the event. So as I talk to folks, one of our grads reached out and asked for some advice about what will make it worth it for me to do a vendor event? And I'm like, if you can make sure that you're collecting information and able to follow up with all these folks, you can turn them into online sales. Because many times we're at the vendor events and there's so many vendors and we're like, oh, that smells good. I'm going to come right back. And then we get caught up over here doing whatever we're doing. And we really did mean to come back and get the candle. Right. We just forgot. And then we went out the door and went home. Right. So I've even been talking to some of the folks I know who give these events about the part that I feel like they should play in ensuring that the vendors are securing data during the event, because that's one of the most powerful things that you can have as a small business owner is the data. So I would say keep doing the vendor events, but just make sure that you're finding ways, whether it be raffles or, some sort of opt-in that you give them, a coupon, whatever it might be, to get them to give you their data before they walk out the door.
Right.
Then you hit them with some text messages or emails and then convert them into online sales. All right, just had to get that off my chest. I didn't want to forget. Well, for those that are tuning in, and I'm telling you all, the candles, the diffusers, everything, amazing. Honestly, I've smelled, I think, all 9 scents. For sure, that Black Man one. I bought that one for the house, and it's amazing. So I don't vouch for a lot of folks, but I'm gonna tell you all, like, the product is amazing. It'll look amazing in your home as well. And again, great customer service, great business. So you want to support this Black-owned business for sure. So tell the people, how can they buy from you online, follow you online, get in touch with you?
So our website is www.theblackcandlecompany.com. On Instagram, we are at the BLK Candle Co. Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all the other social media sites is The Black Candle Company.
Fantastic. I love it. Again, you do not want to miss out on your opportunity to support this Black-owned business, who is a Boomin U graduate and one of our first businesses that we went to through the Kiva platform. We're just super proud of the growth and can't wait to see what you do in the future. Make sure that you go follow the Black Company, but don't just follow, go buy something today. Jessica, thank you so much for joining me today. I really greatly appreciate you. And again, I'm just so proud of you and look forward to all of your growth in the future.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. Have a wonderful day.